We are ready to go. Welcome, everyone. Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. Council chambers, we would like to begin this meeting by acknowledging that we are gathered on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Inca, Kappa, and Silk people. Introductions. Can you introduce our new person, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to introduce Katrina. She is our new clerk. So you will see her every council meeting here to be at your beck and call.
Excellent. Welcome. Golf clap. Golf clap for you. Thank you. Yeah. Late items, none. Public input. CO.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, there is public input this evening on item 7.4.
Okie doke. Come on up. I'll get you to push the button. Just state your name and who you're with.
My name is Gurpreet Chahal and I'm representing Merritt Otter Swim Club. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Merritt Otter Swim Club. Based on current and past user fee bylaws, we believe a fair and reasonable lane rental increases should be 50%. I would like to highlight a few key concerns. I have provided copies of bylaws, all numbered for reference, and summary of pool user fees. The most concerning issue is the removal of the youth rate for our swim programs, which was in the bylaw 2115. As you can see on summary sheet, highlighted yellow, the youth rate for the full pool was $33.60, and the youth lane rate was $7. However, in the new bylaw, youth rate is removed. The $17.50 lane rental rate, highlighted blue on summary sheet, remains unchanged for private rentals. I would mention this rate is for private rentals or for non-local youth. For example, when the Princeton Swim Club practices at our local pool, that is their rate. This means no increase for private rentals or non-local youth, but 150% increase or 95% increase for our local youth programs. Other youth facilities like the arena and parks and fields still maintain youth rates. See pages 1 and 3. But the swim club is unfairly excluded. This creates inequity between youth programs. Our total lane expenses about 14% of our overall budget. See page 13, highlighted yellow. And we use between 800 to 1,000 hours annually. At the current $7 rate, we pay $7,000. With the proposed $17.50 rate, our annual fee would rise to $17,500, an increase of $10,500. Even with a reduced rate of $13.50, the fee would be $13,500, adding $6,500 annually. This increase is a significant burden for a nonprofit serving local youth. Youth pool fees have increased no more than 25% in other areas. Please see summary sheet highlighted green. Yet the swim club is facing a 95% hike, far exceeding any other youth program. This is unfair and unsustainable for a nonprofit serving local youth. We understand the need for increased revenue and are prepared for a 50% increase, bringing the rate to $10.50, and we can manage $11 per hour. This aligns with other youth facility increases and ensures our club can continue supporting young swimmers. In conclusion, we ask the council to reinstate the nonprofit youth rate for the pool, just as other facilities have, ensuring fair and equitable access for all youth programs. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I'm not sure where that came from. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. Yeah, 10 minutes. Okay. Yeah, so thank you. So just so people that are aware in the crowd, we then will discuss this once we get to 7.4. So thank you for your presentation and thank you for the very well done. Thank you very much. You should let other people know how to do that when they come here. They probably would have a better outcome. So thank you. Adoption of minutes. Councillor Ogan is joining us virtually out there, so he is here. He's just in the Neverland. So 4.1 regular council meeting minutes, February 11th, 2025. Recommendation that the minutes of the regular council meeting held on February 11th, 2025 be adopted. Councillor Petrosi, Councillor Ogun, or Councillor Etchart. Any errors or omissions? Oh. Councillor Charney.
I have one query on 7.4. We did talk about an appeal process. Should that have been added or was that out the door? On 7.4, City of Merritt Waterworks bylaw. I just can't remember the outcome of that appeal process discussion.
Seal.
Sorry, I was under the impression we were going to give you an idea at a policy meeting about where appeals generally
Yes.
Okay,
go.
so it doesn't go in the minutes that we are
No, I
looking
think
at?
we'll be
Okay.
bringing that to you.
Okay,
in the
okay.
future.
Another one on page 9, the following in kind. We gave Merritt Dance $1,100. That's not on here. And the Merritt Country Christmas $7,500, and that's not on here. Okay.
Seal.
And that is an oversight. We can absolutely add those two. Perfect to the minutes.
Perfect. And then 8.2, could you please mark down that I oppose this option?
8.2.
Yes.
Anything else, Your
That's it.
Highness?
I'm
Excellent. Councillor Egan.
Yes, I just wanted to say that there was a question about the Merritt crop scrapbooking crafts 1 day at $1,500 in kind. Now, I thought the rental of the room was $1,000 a day. So is that a day and a half?
CFO. Seal.
Thank you. You only approved 1 day, so we'll make sure that's correct.
Okay.
Excellent. So the recommend the minutes of the regular council meeting held on February 11th with the new additions.
Councillor Oven.
Oh, Councillor Ogun, sorry. Go ahead.
So the same thing. So according to my notes here, I have the Merritt scrapbooking in kind for 1,000. So I was not sure
Yeah,
if
we,
that was the 1,500 or the 1,000, and that was already discussed. And 8.2, can you please make sure that I oppose to that one as well?
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So as corrected, the minutes as corrected, the mover and seconder okay with that? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 4.2 special council meeting minutes, recommendation that the minutes of the special council meeting held on February 19th, 2025 be adopted. Councillor Etchart. Councillor Petrosi, again, any errors or omissions? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. General matters, there are none. Unfinished business bylaws, 7.1 official community plan amendment bylaw 2383-2024 and zoning amendment bylaw number 2384-2024. We have a recommendation that council adopt official community plan amendment bylaw number 2383-2024 and recommendation that council adopt zoning amendment bylaw number 2384-202. Councillor Baxter. Councillor Etchart, any questions on this one? Dan is looking for Councillor Egan.
Yes, thank you. The only thing that I really, I'm always frustrated with in these maps is that we talk about the parcel descriptors, and then we get to the map and it's not clearly identified where that parcel is.
Yeah.
So can we point out exactly where on this map that we're talking about? I think I have an idea, but I could be wrong.
Pranesh, we'll get you to come forward and
Thank you, Worship. Can we have maps on the screen? So this particular OCP amendment and zoning amendment application is for parcel civically addressed as 1101 Midday Valley Road. I have to go there and highlight part, but in future we can highlight the subject property for the amendment. So
Yeah,
so that
probably.
council, mayor and council have.
That would be great.
Yeah. So this is for.
okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we probably should get that highlighted in the future and maybe even like a little red or squiggly through it so we can, people who are looking at it know it's.
Yes, we can surely do that. Thank you.
Excellent, appreciate it.
Thank you.
CO, you have your mic on? Okay, you. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. 7.2, City of Merritt Waterworks bylaw number 2392-2025. Recommendation that council adopt the City of Merritt Waterworks bylaw number 2392-2025. Councillor Baxter. Councillor Petrosi. Any questions on this one? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. City of Merritt Sewer Bylaw 2393-2025. Recommendation that council adopt City of Merritt Sanitary Sewer Bylaw 2393-2025. Councillor Charney, Councillor Petrosi. Any questions on this one? All those in favor? Carried. The one we've all been waiting for. 7.4. Recommendation that council adopt City of Merritt fees and charges bylaw amending bylaw number 2394-2025. So in light of the presentation and the information given to us, I would like to make a motion that we pull the auditors increase out, leave it as it is until the rec commission and council can discuss that piece of paper, but we move ahead with all the rest. Councillor Etchart, Councillor Petrosi.
So you're at adoption at this point, so we're going to have to do a few.
Yep, let me know what we need to do.
So if you're wishing to amend the bylaw at adoption, we need to rescind third reading, amend the bylaw, give third reading again, and then adoption as
Yep.
amended.
Let's do that then.
And I will bring up the bylaw on
Okay.
screen so you can see exactly what it is that you are changing.
So would it be best for us to fail this as it sits now? Or can we just amend it from here?
I would not suggest
Okay.
voting against it at this point
Okay.
and filling it. If you wish to withdraw it from the agenda, that's or defer it to the next meeting, we can certainly do that, and then we can bring it back at the next meeting. That's one option, if you wish
Yeah.
to defer this to the next meeting.
CFO.
No, CAO. Sorry,
Yeah.
Scott promoted to Kevin's job. I guess before you move this on is in which manner would you like to discuss this further rather than having this conversation right now?
Well, why don't we table this until the next meeting? Let's do it that
You
way.
have an opportunity and if council then has questions that they'd like addressed by administration, we can certainly provide an appropriate briefing note before you make a decision to. So I think it's worth tabling it.
It's
to
just
the
that
next
we've got
council
some new information that I think we need to have a look at, and I think the rep commission probably should be aware of it as well.
That will take much more time. I
Well, we
think.
can get them a copy. I mean, they can actually have a
Yeah.
look at it. We don't actually have to have the meeting with them. They can
Yeah.
have a look at it and because some of the information they may have gotten may not be correct. This seems to be a little bit more correct than what we've received.
Yeah,
So-
we certainly have information administratively that I think will of the benefit to council to consider.
Councillor Chair.
If we were to adopt as is, could we not make an amendment or is it just easier to do adoption? Table it? Okay, thank you.
So the motion is to table it as it sits until next meeting. Councillor Egan.
Okay, yeah, I just wondering, I'm looking. Oh, it's really fun. Okay. So, okay, that's fine, yeah.
So I'd like a couple of answers before you walk away from this. I can certainly provide you with a couple of answers on this if you have questions specifically right now.
I don't have,
Okay.
to be honest, we just got this. I'd like to look at it a little bit deeper. If,
No, I meant from an administrative point of view, like why there's no use swim rate because they're the only they're the only swim club, right?
Mhm.
There's no youth swim rate because they're the only swim club.
So, council, would you like an explanation? Well, why don't you throw in what you feel you need to throw in and,
Pre-research, so if council has questions, I may be
okay,
able to
any
answer them.
questions? Or, because we're gonna table it, so any questions or do you want to wait till it comes back? Wait till it comes back, how does everybody else feel?
He's trying to.
Okay, so we'll table it for now. So basically to the people in the crowd that probably don't want to sit here for the rest of the meeting, we're going to table it, have a look at it and make a decision on that after we have more information, because we have more information here. We just need some time to digest it. We usually don't get this kind of information. We usually get stuff on a napkin. So this is nice to have. So we haven't changed much of anything other than the fact that we just need to discuss this a little bit more and get some more information. So yeah.
The CO and her infinite wisdom and correctness would like you to use the word deferred.
Defer, sure. Yeah, defer. Let's do it that way. Let's defer it. So it's deferred. You don't have to sit here for the rest of the meeting if you don't want to, so I don't blame you. But thank you for the oh, go ahead, Councilor Petrosi. We don't have to do a vote, do we? No? Yes? All in favor? All right, we'll get everybody. So, new business, 8.1. 2024 year-end funding of reserves. I've got two recommendations. I'll read them. Recommendation that council direct staff to transfer insurance proceeds for losses that were paid out to the reserves as follows. 635,103.71 into the facility reserve, 444,612.63 into a parks, recreation, and land improvement reserve, 345,825.93 into the fire reserve, 228,333.70 into the transportation reserve, and 53,900 into the equipment reserve. And the next recommendation is that council direct staff to allocate interests to reserves on the flood mitigation and housing prepared grants as follows. 392,632 to the interest funded infrastructure reserve and 223,565 to housing. Councillor Baxter. Councillor Egan. Questions on this? Councillor Egan.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to know, like all of this reserve money is a remainder of grant money that we don't have to give back? My question is.
So essentially what this is that when we did our insurance claims, this is the money that we have received from insurance that hasn't been directly spent at this time. So it's just, yeah, so like, there is some funds that, for the youth center, the team building, which we were using for the ESS, we haven't replaced that yet. So that's the types of things where we haven't done a full replacement. So it's going into reserves until we have funds to be able to do something more appropriate with it.
Okay, that's great.
Councillor Richard.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering when I saw some of the buildings there is, I know ESS is wondering where they're gonna end up having space, as it's sometimes hard to store items. And wonder where they'll be next meeting, because stuff gets moved. And so I was just glad to see that stuff would be put into reserve, because they're kind of hoping to have a permanent home somewhere.
Yes, I do feel bad for ESS. Every time we get close to getting them home, it changes. Councillor Charney.
Putting this money into these reserves, is it guaranteed it's going to stay in that reserve, or can it be dipped into?
Sheila.
These are restricted reserves.
They are restricted?
Yeah.
Okay.
Councillor Charney. Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Olgan, you're okay?
I'm good.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Do we, Seal, do we actually have to have a verbal response from Councillor Olgan? Because in TNRD we do, because people that are online may not be able to see him. Do we have to do a verbal?
Don't believe our council procedure bylaw says that,
Okay.
but it would be advisable
Okay,
to do that just so that everybody does hear.
okay. So Councillor Olgan, if you could just say yay or nay, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
8.2, recommendation that council direct staff to prepare the 2025-2029 financial plan. Yeah, 8.2. The inclusion of the summer student position. So summer student position, 8.2. Oh, exclusion, sorry. No, mine says inclusion. That's supposed to be exclusion? Seal?
The agenda itself has got a blank. For you to
Yes.
fill in.
Says, yeah, the plan. Yeah. Yeah. So your options are, if you read your agenda, there's three options, right? So if you read your preamble, this is a service reduction mission for taxes. Yep. Yep. So basically, considering what we're considering are two public works summer students positions and one bylaw summer position. The public works positions fully burdened are 22,001 for 800 hours of work each for a total of $44,002. The bylaw position fully burdened 24,414 for 800 hours of work. This position has slightly higher hours because there is an expectation that they may be dealing with encampments and unsightly properties alongside the bylaw officer. So the total cost of all three positions that if they were to be removed would be 68,416, which represents approximately 3/4 of a tax percent cut. Now, when we went to the meetings, the two meetings, the open houses that we did for budget, there was conversation and talk about cutting some staff. But what I have to understand is when we cut staff, we then cut services. So one of the other things that people brought up is they like to see more weeds and stuff cut and lawns and stuff and, city properties. But if we do cut positions, then we are not going to be able to kind of get to all of that all the time. That has to be understood. So the last thing that we do is if we decide to move in this direction, we probably are going to hear some complaining halfway through the summer that things are a little fuzzy. So just people out there have to understand, if we cut these positions, then we do not have the bodies to actually do it. We still will get to it, but not as fast as we could. Councillor Charney.
Well, now that you brought up weeds, that was my thing. Because it says the majority of the time they're picking up garbage, the students. So I wanted to know, are they going to be on weeds? Because we do have a significant problem between sidewalks and roads with weeds that are waist height. So I just wanted to know how the distribution of time is spent. And then on the bylaw position, it says it's going to help with the various good neighbor bylaw infractions and peak season, or that's the encampments. But with various good bylaw neighbor infractions, well, the majority of the year, we only have one bylaw officer. And I don't think that summer increases messy yards, et cetera, et cetera. And I was under the understanding that at one of the meetings, we decided not to hire a second bylaw. Correct me if I am wrong. And also encampments, I think that we've kind of decided that any tent encampments would be up by the airport, not downtown where a lot of the serious issues are happening. So could council have a discussion on those talking points? Clarification.
Can I give some clarification?
Yes, please.
So the primary role of the two summer students for for public works is to collect garbage from all the public garbage cans. So all the parks garbage cans, which has to be done 2 to 3 times a week because they're usually overflowing every time they do them. So by the time they get through the whole city, they're back to starting at 0 again, right? So they move through the city and then they come back and start again in order to remove that garbage. Otherwise, they become overflowing and residents don't care if they're overflowing. They just keep putting stuff in or throwing it on the ground. So that is primarily their role. As per the good neighbor bylaw, the between your sidewalk and the road is the responsibility of the homeowner, unless it's city property.
City property, I'm talking.
So don't forget though that all like in front of and beside, so adjacent on, so if you're on a corner, it's both sides. So there are definitely places where people are not aware of the good neighbor bylaw. And so that'll be an education thing we do this year. But yeah, like we are basically with the number of staff we have, recognizing that people do take summer holidays, our regular staff take summer holidays, which is why we have more seasonal staff. We do what we can based on the number of staff we have. We have a lot of infrastructure, and as we move forward to more parks, so we'll be, seeing some sort of green space coming up at Lindley Creek, will be some sort of green space coming up at Ban Phillips. I feel like there's one other place I'm forgetting, but as we see that community growth, we are going to require more staff in that department. However, if council wants to have an opportunity for 1 year. And I know there's been, multiple requests and conversations from the residents about, is there staff we can cut? These are not staff positions currently. They haven't been advertised, so nobody's losing their job in these positions. In regards to the bylaw officer, the summer student for the bylaw officer, those are the things like the people who don't cut their grass, the people who don't trim their bushes and they go over the sidewalk, impacting accessibility of the sidewalk for people with mobility issues or seniors or parents of little kids on bikes, right? That was one of the main projects that was done last year, was getting people to trim the hedges. So there is more work during the growth season for bylaw services. Encampments will probably still be a problem because we can tell them they have to go up there, but that doesn't mean they go up there, right? We saw encampments in 5 or 6 different places last year around the city, despite having a designated overnight sheltering location. People just spread out. So we're hoping that, there's a potential there will be less because they have the shelter back open, but we don't know what that's going to look like. So there is potential for some more significant encampment work. But again, if we're presenting positions where, council's looking to give the city residents a few percent, like a few, not even a few percentages, a few percentages of a percentage of savings, this is one place because nobody's losing a job in this situation because they're not filled. At this point, the CO oversees bylaw. We're leaning towards not filling that summer student position anyways, because we actually are going to have an intern this year, a local government intern, which we're hoping to be able to do some project work with that we would have used the summer student for. So.
Thank you. Counselor Egan.
Yeah, thank you. Just to refresh your memory, Councillor Charney, it was October 22nd when we discussed that. In terms of not having the second bylaw officer. And my concern with this, we're talking about a 0.5% in taxes. So we have to think about, do the citizens want weeds or less taxes? I think that's kind of what it boils down to. Yeah.
Sorry. Our impression from that discussion was not to hire a second full-time bylaw officer, not that we were cutting the seasonal bylaw officer position, and we downgraded it to a summer student position because we felt that was the key time. So the seasonal position was for 6 months. We downgraded it to 800 hours, which is more like 3.5 months. But I think the discussion was not to hire a second full-time bylaw officer, if I'm remembering that correctly.
Anything more, Counselor Egan?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Counselor Baxter.
Are there any grants or summer programs available to help offset the costs?
So we don't qualify for the federal and provincial employment grants because we have we're too large of an organization. Those are for small organizations, generally below 25 staff members.
Counselor Hogan.
Thank you. So while summer positions help manage increased workloads, they also represent a temporary fix, in my opinion, rather than a long-term solution. The City of Merritt should prioritize sustainable workforce management, efficiency improvements, the resource optimization to maintain essential services. As we continue to deliberate the 2025-2029 financial plan, I think it's crucial to assess opportunities of cost savings while ensuring essential services are maintained. The removal of summer students' positions, saving approximately $68,000 is one option. However, a broader conversation on fiscal responsibility can be discussed. While doing this research, I noticed that there are, other municipalities that have different type of initiatives. So some people call them the Clean City Initiative, where they have involved high school students to be able to do that. While they can get some volunteer hours, they are able to maintain the services without representing additional cost to the taxpayers. So I feel like we should be, we are in the position to, save any penny that we can, so that we don't increase the tax at the end of this budget season. And we should be thinking about outside the box to be able to maintain those services. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Question I have on that comment about high school students. How does the union, how would the union view that situation? Or would we even know?
Yes,
Or would
the
that be a
the
situation?
summer students are covered under the union agreement, so there would be some questions about that. I think in a lot of those larger communities, they have a bigger human resources department that can go out and do that outreach. We don't have necessarily the time to do that outreach. I think when we tried to get them, the high school involved in shoveling snow for seniors, there was no desire to for that program.
Mhm.
So yes, we might be able to get some high school students. However, it does take a bit of an investment in time and energy, so we can explore it. I don't know if we're gonna post these positions, we need to post them now because
Mhm.
they're most communities have already posted their jobs. We would have to be looking at this as a process going forward. But if we want to be competitive, most organizations, government organizations have already started to post their summer positions. And if we want to get decent staff, we want to make sure that we get those out sooner rather than later if we're going to run those positions.
Councillor Baxter.
Are we gonna post this at NBIT so that college students that are going on to summer break are available to?
Councillor Charney.
Hey, for one student, you're saying it's 22,000. What months or how many months is this?
So 800 hours,
Yes.
for these people, 2080 is a full year. So 800 is just over or just about a quarter of a year, so about 3 months.
3 months. And what months would we be looking at? Like, June, July, August?
Yeah, those months, because we have seasonal staff that come on in April. We have some permanent seasonal staff, and then we have some seasonal staff that we'll be hiring this year that will cover that larger portion. But it's not full-time jobs we need, it's more bodies to do the work, right? Like, we don't need more full-time positions that go all year. We need more people hands-on during the peak season.
So we heard, a lot of us heard different things at the two meetings. We heard people say we want more weeds and stuff, and we want people that said we would like to see some cuts in the city. So we have three options. Option one is direct staff to include this change in the budget. Option two, direct staff not to include this change in the budget. Or option three, receive for information purposes only. Oh, Councillor Rogan, sorry, go ahead.
No, my question was for CAO. In the past, I was involved with the Chamber of Commerce Community Features, and I remember that the city applied for some grants to be able to retain some summer student positions. What has changed that now we are unable to do that?
The federal funding program changed, so we're no longer eligible. They've changed the parameters of the program. So last year we weren't able to hire visitor services staff. Another organization hired them and we worked collaboratively with them. So we couldn't hire summer students for visitor services. Same kind of thing, because they are tightening their belts on who can access the federal youth employment subsidy grants.
So the change happened in 2024?
I think it happened in 2023, actually.
So that's new. Thank you.
So I'm going to throw it out there and say option one. Did you, well, hold on. So I got a seconder. So Councillor Etchart seconds. Councillor Etchart,
So Mayor, we just want to ensure, it says if council chooses to proceed with these positions, with leaving these positions vacant and unbudgeted for 2025, administration recommends retaining them in subsequent years for planning purposes, but they may be reviewed year to year. So options 1, 2, and 3. 1 would be direct staff to include this change in the budget.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I have to be honest with you, I heard more people say cut some staff than I heard say take care of our weeds. So the way I do things is the loudest voices at these things get what they want. So again, when you look back to this meeting come August, understand that what you asked for is what you got. And if you're not happy with the weeds, well, you should not have asked for that, but here we are. So matter of fact, we had one gentleman suggest we cut 2 councillors. So Yeah, there, and like I say, so that's where and as the CAO put out there, nobody will actually lose their job. We just simply will not post these. And then next year we can have a look at that and see how that all worked out, whether it was good, a disaster, or in between.
Right.
So, any other questions on option one that has been seconded? About what? This is- So option one would be to direct staff to include the change, which would be exclusion. So we would not fund these 3 positions. Okay.
Yeah.
Your mic is on there, Councilor Troy. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Yay.
8.2. Oh, Seal.
Before we move on, can I clarify for the minutes, please? So the minutes now will say that council directs staff to prepare the 2025-2029 financial plan without the inclusion of the summer, with the inclusion of option one as
Inclusion.
per the CAO's report.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do we need to revote on that? We're cool? Okay. 8.3, 2025-2029 financial plan services and line items focus. 2 recommendations. We have a recommendation that council receive the February 13th, 2025 report of the Director of Finance entitled 2025-2029 Financial Plan Services and Line Item Focus for Information and Discussion Purposes. Second recommendation that council direct staff to prepare the 2025-2029 Financial Plan bylaw with the following option. I need a seconder, Councillor Egan. Questions? Councillor Charney.
I would like to make a motion that we table this for further time where we are not discussing budget with other city items. I would like to see the budget discussed in a separate meeting that only includes budget.
So are we talking a separate budget meeting for this to go through? Or a cow meeting, or what do we?
Cow, we can't make a decision.
Okay, so
It'll be a
separate
cow.
budget meeting? Would you be willing to sit on a Saturday for this?
Yes.
Okay, because that's probably what it's gonna take to get it done. Well, not, but they said everything. So. Seal.
I just want to remind council about timelines, so
Mhm.
that just maybe you think when Council Egan said, maybe not this one, that we have to have a decision with enough time for the CFO to draft the bylaw and make changes to the plan. So this has to be to the ministry on May 15th.
Okay, good to know.
This cannot be beyond that.
We will make sure that happens. So I have a seconder for the tabling? Yep, you, Councillor Egan. We don't need to vote for the table, do we? Yes, okay, all those in favor?
Yay.
Differ, whatever. Opposed? Councillor, okay, there we go, thank you. 8.4, Claybank's operation options, that council directs staff to proceed with option blank for operations of the Claybank's RV Park as outlined in the January 2nd, 2025 report of the Director of Community Service entitled Claybank's RV Park Operations. Right. So I'm going to be honest with you. I've been very clear since 2016 that I think this should come back into city operation. When I look at the amount of money being handed to a contractor in 2021, 177,388, and we end up with 90,000, that number seems to be backwards to me. So I understand that this would, we brought the airport back in, we brought the arena back in. This is the last one that's outstanding. I would prefer to see this come back. My option would be for this to come back into city control. But that's just me. So I'll open it up, Councillor Baxter.
We only have so much land. So we should keep it and hold it for the future, but we should control it. That way, all the money that we make from it can go back into save the taxpayers.
Thank you, Councillor Charney.
I agree that we should own it. I've sat down today and I have camped excessively in city-owned parks. And I'm pretty sure that we could, well, it depends on whether council decides on a 12-month or a 7-month opening, but pretty sure that we could run this with one full-time employee at 7 months and one part-time employee from April 1 to August 31st. Making it a xeriscaping instead of grass, except for maybe 1 or 2 small areas of grass, but the rest, the desert theme could be cuts down on maintenance. All bookings online. You have to purchase a booking program, you set up a website, you have to purchase a computer and printer. All simple to do. You build a kiosk, then in the morning, whoever is the full-time employee, they just print out new bookings coming in, they post it on the kiosk. Check-in time is from 2 to 9, checkouts no later than 11. Full-time employee would have an emergency phone call number, and all money that I see that comes in from this park should go back into the park, like Logan Lake. They don't put that into general reserves. That money goes back into their park, their RV park, and they have got a really nice RV park. We have the land over across the street, and there's also land beside the RV park that I don't know if he wants to sell. But I'm saying if we kept all of the money after all of these expenses, built up a reserve, we could purchase that piece of property beside us or expand on the other side. Taking control, yeah, it's going to be growing pains to set it up, but I think it's better for us to keep this within the city and have our own employees working there.
Thank you. Councillor Egan.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to know more specifically what the cost would be to run it, because having our own employees, that's more QP employees. It's just gonna be more than just having people. Pardon me?
So
You're talking 5-6 months. That's gonna be permanent part-time.
So if you go to options and number 3, we were premising this on a 20 or 12-month position. So 1 full-time, 1 part-time, and 1 part-time seasonal. And for us, part-time is a minimum of 20 hours. So $123,000 in wages fully burdened would be the staff cost. If you're talking about going to a shorter season, as Councillor Charney has brought forward, then obviously that staff cost goes down. We already own the equipment to maintain it. We have the building there. We have, sorry, remind me if I'm wrong, somebody from that department. If we own the computers and things that are on site there, the cash equipment. I'd have to go back and check on that. So you're right, there might be some outlay originally. But we're already paying $90,000 sorry, we're already paying 177 out. And we have 90,000 in expenses, or sorry, 90,000 to the city after expenses, but you know, we're almost getting that to 150 probably if we're looking at a 12-year
12 months.
or sorry, 12-month, thank you. 12-month season, or whether we go to a shorter season, we might see a bit less revenue, but it doesn't change how much time we actually end up putting in there, because we do have to respond to some things in the park. Basically, if it's bigger than you know, $200 or $300 fix, then staff are responding and we're paying for it. So
basically we cover everything over $250, which is almost everything in the place. So if we go with the 2021, where the gross was 281.56, and we pay the 123, we still come up with 158, 156, which is more than we've ever received any other year.
Yeah, it just looks like the revenues are going up and up and up, and comparatively, and we're on the comparisons that they made in their report, we're probably the most viable property.
That's Richard.
I'm in agreement with option 3 of keeping it. We've already gone through the flood. It was ruined. It's been mostly repaired, other than I think the one structure that, I don't know if it was replaced, the clubhouse or whatever you want to call it.
It was a outside picnic gathering area.
But being that it was redesigned, a lot of things were redone. It's in the best shape it's been. And you know, it's a way to generate non-tax revenue. And Claybanks was a great park before, and I'm sure it will be better. And I think we should keep it.
I just have a hard time handing someone $177,000 for saying hello, goodbye.
Exactly.
So
Keep it.
this is me anyway. Counselor Charney.
If we do go option three, is staff going to look at how we are going to run it? So that one full-time, one part-time and one seasonal part-time, that could be adjusted?
It will depend on how council wants to operate. If you want to be seasonal, so.
Or 12
Or
months?
12 months, right? That's going to be really dependent on that.
Okay.
However,
I got you, Counselor.
I've been to several, municipally run parks as well, and you drop the money and somebody comes by the next day.
Yeah, picks it up.
Even provincial parks and stuff like that, right? It's not necessarily you have to have somebody at the kiosk all the time. I think the one thing council might want to consider is that we will have fewer sites once the dike goes in. We still haven't confirmed 100% that we're going to be able to put tenting sites on top of the dike, but we will have fewer. So residents might see that the work that we did is going to get undone, but we had to do that work because it was covered by the insurance and we didn't know when the dike was going to go in. So we had to do that work of returning it as it was. So some of that work is going to come out, but that's not at the cost. None of that has cost us as taxpayers any money, just in case people wonder why that's happening.
And we're smoking along at 4 years with no dike activity at all, so.
That dike is funded,
Oh, well, thank God.
right? So you'll see that in the next couple of meetings that they'll bring that forward to do some engineering discussion with you. But yeah, so there will be up to 12 fewer sites. So the revenue will be reduced. However, the demand on staff, like the actual workload might be reduced, especially if we're talking about xeriscaping or doing something like that. So we would need direction on, and it doesn't have to be today, we can bring you some options, but it would be, we'll need direction on how you'd like it to be operated, 12 or 7 or whatever, and then we would come with a business plan.
Thank you. Counselor Hogan.
Yeah, so it's a good discussion. So I was inclining for option one because in my mind I thought it was going to be the quickest way to reopen the park. I am in agreement with the fact that at some point this park needs to come back to the city. So the question is, are we ready to operate that now? If the answer is yes, then okay, then I would be in agreement with option three. So if the answer is because it seems that there are a few things up in the air still with when the park recovers from the flood and the dike construction disruptions. So if we are ready to operate, then yes. If not, it's going to take longer, then I think that I would incline for option one so that we can just open as scheduled.
Leo.
We feel confident that we can operate it. I guess our biggest concern, one way or the other, is that dike construction is meant to be happening starting this summer. So in some fashion, it will be not ideal, but I know that council and the community desires to see it opened again in some way. So, for the first year, we might not even be able to produce enough revenue for a contractor to appreciate anything from it. Whereas if we're doing it, it's less of an issue, right? Because if we break even, but the campground got open and we started getting the word out. But ultimately there will be rocks and equipment and things working. Unless we don't get our permits in time, one can anticipate that there will be a dike being built. Playbacks.
Counselor, are you done, Counselor Charney?
No.
Oh, go ahead.
If we agree with option three, then we have to take off running now because most parks open up March 1st, March 15th for booking. So we would have to have someone purchase that booking program. And you know what, most of it's online anyway, so there is no cash box. It's all prepaid and the computer programs they're slick. They're very nice. And so we would have to get that and someone has to get it going and then we have to get a crew over to the park. So I don't think it's unreasonable that we could open up middle of April.
Well,
You
I
know,
think,
I would
I think
hope
what
so.
we, I think what we have to understand here is this
New
is,
construction.
this is a new, we're stepping back in after a rebuild. So it's going to take some time to get it up and running and get it running correctly. So, I mean, it was damaged heavily and we've had to do a lot of work to it. So I think people will understand the fact that we are working on it. And by next year at this time, we should be in full flow. So, Counselor Baxter.
I think the citizens would agree with us going to number 3 because they want the money to come back to our city. They don't want to see it going to somebody else, especially the amounts of money that we're paying to the contractor and the amounts we were getting. I think everybody will be happy that we are now controlled by the city. It is a city park. It is a city place. I think everybody will be happy about number 3.
Well, I would rather have $281,000 in my pocket than 90.
Yep.
So, Counselor Petrosi?
Well, I was in agreement with Councillor Olgan, option 1 for 2 years, and then after that, option 3. Because I think it's just too quick to try to get it up and running. You've got experienced people that can run it for 2 years. We don't know if construction will actually start this summer, how long it's going to go. There's a lot of unknowns, and I think number 1 is actually something that I think we should look at.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Richard?
I think number 1 is probably the worst option because if we are trying to do dike construction and improvements and you have a contract with somebody and all of a sudden you have to do this work, you've signed a deal with somebody and now it's like when you're trying to rent a house and you have tenants in a rental home. They have to move out while you're going to remodel the kitchen and bathroom. It just makes the most sense to have the property in the city control so we can operate it. And how do we even know if we're going to be doing the dike improvements, how it's going to affect everything? I think having it under city control would be the only option.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Olgan?
So I just want to say that I would disagree with Councillor Echard. So when we approach the person who would be operating, first of all, that person was unable to finish their term because of the floods. Secondly, you disclose all this information. So what is happening, what is going to happen, and again, there are things that we don't know yet. But as long as the operator understands what may happen, so it's going to be up to that person to accept or not if they want to operate the option for 2 years. Again, if we are ready right now and take over the operations, then I would vote for option 3.
CAO.
So I just confirmed with the acting director of community services and our current rec booking software will do this parks booking for us. Our current rec software for bookings will manage the park as well.
Any other questions? So I'll read it again. Recommendation that council direct staff, hold on a second. Recommendation that council direct staff to proceed with option 3 for operations at the Claybank RV Park as outlined in the January 2nd, 2025 report of the Director of Community Services entitled Claybank's RV Park Operations. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 8.5.
I was in favor.
So
You didn't actually make a motion at the start of the discussion.
oh,
You started with where you felt you wanted
Okay.
to sit. So if you could make a
I
motion.
thought I first and seconded.
No, you didn't.
Okay. Counselor Sharney, Counselor Baxter. Sorry, I thought I did. I didn't. I had it written down here. I did, but again, all those in favor?
Okay.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, 8.5. Upcoming 2025 grant applications. Recommendation that council direct staff to apply for up to 1.5 million from the federal HICC Active Transportation Fund for the design and construction of the Collettville multi-use path. Second recommendation that council direct staff to apply for up to 3.9 million from the federal CHIF program for the remaining design and construction of the Ken Gardwell project. Councillor, are you going to Councillor Echard? Any questions on this? You guys don't want free money? All those in favor?
Yay.
Opposed? Carried.
No, I'm late.
Oh, Councillor Ogan, can we have a verbal on that one?
I did. Yay.
Oh, we were busy yakking, sorry. 9, notice of motion, emotion. Why do I always say that? Notices of motion. 9.1, city initiative program. The following notice of motion was presented by Merritt at the February 11th, 2025 regular council meeting. Recommendation that council stop the grant and aid program in 2026 and implement a city initiative program in its place. Councillor Egan, Councillor Charney, any questions or concerns on this one or explanation? Would anybody like to hear an explanation? Okay, so, oh, sorry, Councillor Charney.
I was going to ask you to explain.
Okay. So grant and aids have been going on for a number of years, and they are a way to give back to the community, which every council and situation should be doing. But what has ended up happening over the years is a lot of the grant and aid now becomes a situation where we're actually funding their group through the year. And they rely on us year after year after year after year, and it becomes a crutch. What we're also seeing with a lot of these grant and aids is that the money that is being given out is not even staying within the community, it's heading off into the TNRD. And with the grant or with the initiative, city initiative, the city initiative would be where somebody had a great idea and they would come to us through the year and they would present their idea, and the whole idea would be the fact that it would be based on how many people you're bringing to town for how long, and filling our hotels, using the gas stations, using the restaurants. And that money would stay definitely within the city boundaries. Some of the other things that we've had in grant and aids is we've given someone grant and aid and then they've given $1,000 to charity with the grant and aid money that we've given them. Well, we can do that ourselves. We don't need to do that. So the city initiative is more of a situation where we still help the community, but it's for people who want to put on an event that bring people to our community. The grant and aid, one of the things that I do notice sitting on TNRD is the same people that put the grant and aid here are the same ones that are putting it in at the TNRD as well. Exactly the same grant and aid. A lot of groups are considering not doing grant and aid anymore because we're basically running their business plan. And city initiative means that the money stays within the community. And I think grant and aids have had its time. For myself. Now, that's just me. I'll leave it to you, Councillor Charney.
What dollar amount would you put on? We're currently down to 25,000.
We keep it at the 25. Yep.
And for parameters for applying, like we had a bit of a situation with tax exemption and people still applying. So are we going to be using the same rules for applying for this as we do for granting aid, or will there be new rules?
Well, I think CAO.
So can I make a recommendation, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, you can.
So rather than having a full stop end to the program or implement, might I suggest that we want to frame it something like that we develop a policy or new policy for city initiatives to bring to policy review committee to replace grant and aid? Something like that,
Oh, I
because they
see.
will answer all of those questions
Sure.
that Councillor Charney has.
Sure, let's send it to policy. That makes that's the best idea. Yep, that way we can discuss it. It can come back. Yep, good idea. So we can just send this to policy. Yep. So we had the recommendation, but now, so the mover and seconder, are you okay with it going to the policy committee? Okay. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you. Reports from council. Wants to take a stab at it. Oh, Councillor Baxter.
On February 20th, I went to the Nicola Valley Transportation Meeting. And then February 22nd, I went to the coldest night of the year and it was kind of wet, but February 24th, that was yesterday, I went to the Squamish tour under one roof food bank and it was interesting. I really enjoyed it.
February 19th, I went and saw the folks at Nicola Meadows for my annual monthly meeting and I really enjoy doing that. February 20th and 21st, I was at the TNHD and TNRD meetings. February 21st was the Sens last home game and it was a burner. It was a great game. Sens have made it into the playoffs and they will be playing Revelstoke the 3rd and the 4th here in town. There you go. February 22nd also did the coldest night of the year. Enjoyed that. February 23rd, Sens wrap up banquet. I presented the Citizen Award to Nathan. I can't remember his last name. He took the Citizens Award, which was sponsored by the city. And also, fun fact, hospital was closed on that night. And that is the same night that we had a firefighter that needed our hospital and had to go to Kelowna. And I have consequently been on the phone this afternoon with the Minister of Health, letting her know that we need to kind of figure things out a little bit better. Now, I will admit that this minister is working hard to get where the last minister was in free fall. This minister is at least trying to do something. But I've also let her know that next week the bills will come to her for the 2024 and 2023, and I'm looking for an answer because I still have not an answer. So there will be a second bill coming to her. So I just let her know that was coming. February 24th, I also did the under one roof to Squamish. It was a great trip, except for the electric cars. I don't like, I think they're great if you know how to use one. Apparently, our CEO knows how to use one. We just don't. But anyway, as I said, I had a call with the health minister tonight, and we'll continue to work towards that. One other thing, February 28th or March 28th of this, next March 28th, we have a meeting of the Interior, I think we're calling ourselves the Interior Health, Mayor's Health Action Committee with the minister. This is being led by Mayor Hopful out of Lillooet, and all the mayors that have been affected by closures are going to be meeting with her and moving forward with a plan. And I've asked the minister if we can be on the 1 year pilot program for the nurse practitioners. She's got that out there on the coast, and I would like to see it happen here as well. One other thing that I want to mention, I saw a news story this morning where the Delta Hospital had closed down. I don't know if it was the mayor or if it was the councillor that said, when this happens in rural, it's no big deal, but when it happens in the city, we need to take notice. Now, that's unacceptable. Our hospital being closed is as important as anybody else's. When you're in Delta, you're 5 minutes away from Mission. When you're in Merritt, you're an hour to 2 hours away. So if that's the case, I would talk to our firefighter. So I really did not like that comment. I think it was not correct. Everybody's hospital closing, no matter where you are, is a problem. And don't write us off because we're not, because we're north of 60. So thank you. Councillor Yetchart.
Oh, okay. I think I did a lot of the same things as everyone else, except February 13th, the museum has their annual meeting, or monthly, I should say. February 18th, the ESS had a meeting, lots of training going on with them. They're trying to recruit just in case we have emergencies this year. They're prepared for it. So because they're prepared, we won't have them, hopefully. We had a special council meeting on the 19th. It was a Heritage Day open house at the museum on the 20th. And I went on the coldest night of the year walk with the mayor and Councillor Baxter, and it was nice and wet for us. And we went to Squamish with some of the staff, and thank you very much for organizing everything for the tour. We got to see what the building over there looks like to get us a good idea and learn some mistakes that they've done so that we don't have to make those ourselves. And we got to experience traveling with the electric vehicles, which was interesting. And I sure appreciate the hybrid I have because not worrying about running out of gas is nice, or electricity, I should say. Thanks.
Councillor Hogan.
Okay, so on February 14, I attended the Women's Memorial March for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, Girls, and Two-Spirit People. We gathered at the Rotary Park at noon and then marched through downtown Merritt to raise awareness about this critical issue. On February 19, I attended the first Rotary Club bi-weekly meeting. There was a presentation made by Alvaro. So he's originally from Spain and he's part of the Rotary Youth Exchange Program. He shared with us his own experiences since he arrived to Canada and what a great program that is. So those are the two events that I attended.
Thank you. Councillor Egan.
Thank you. Yeah. February 14th, I met with Corinne DeVries. She's the new chair of SILGA, and she's a great gal. She's very, very excited about having our convention here in Merritt. On the 19th, we had a special council meeting that I attended. February 25th, which was this morning, we had a great staff pancake breakfast. It was really, really good. I think Councillor Etchuk was one of the cooks.
Yep.
And the other day, last Wednesday, I drove down to Chilliwack for some personal business, but I had some spare time and I walked around in their downtown, which is called District 1881. And I'm telling you, what a cool little designated area. Lots of different shops and alleys, and that alley is called Sasquatch Way or something like that. And I think it's, you know, something we could look at. That kind of thing to have a designated area, where, you know, there's restaurants, little craft shops. There was a microbrewery and just alleys, very little parking within that. Downtown Chilliwack.
Yeah.
Old downtown.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, very cool.
A lot of people think Chilliwack is the three barns and all the restaurants that you buy. They gotta go down Annis Road.
Right. And
Yeah, you got, unless you've gone to downtown Chilliwack, it's great. I
That's
love
very
that.
cool.
Chilliwack.
anyways, if you want to take a look, it's only 2 hours away.
Or 4 in an electric vehicle. No way. Counselor, Olgan.
Thank you. So I just want to add to what Councillor Egan mentioned. So that project, the 1881, was part of the economic development organization that the the city of Chilliwack has hired. So as mentioned to you before, so they don't have an in-house economic development developer officer. So they have hired this organization, this corporation, and that project is one of those projects of many that we will be seeing in the future years, as well as Kelowna. Kelowna has the same corporation, and it's working towards that, the growth that they are expecting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to add to that, Councillor Olgan, if you have any resources that you can tap into and bring some information back, I think we'd all appreciate hearing back from you.
Sounds good.
Good.
Anyone else? Counselor Attorney says she did nothing. Information items. Anybody have any question on the information items? Nope. CEO report. CEO.
Thank you. In addition to the reports that are typically there, just wanted to share a couple of things that are happening. We have gotten grant funding for an intergovernmental relations position. This comes specifically in relation to our emergency management planning and our requirement by the province to engage with the Indigenous governments around that. So our emergency management coordinator has some really great plans about how that's going to work, as well as some additional funding we're applying on. So this is for a 1-year fully funded position with no commitment to the position after, if council chooses not to continue with that position. It's a pretty impressive position to have in a community this size. Most of the larger communities like Kamloops and Kelowna have them, but we may not have the resources for a position like that. However, it's something we might want to look at for maybe a contracted position in the future, like a consultant position. We also are just in the process of screening the applicants for the Local Government Management Association's 1-year internship program. We're one of the host communities, and we have 65 applications to go through. I was on fire today. I got it down. So that should be starting in May. We should see that individual joining us in May. And so that person will have the opportunity for a year to learn about local government and to work on special projects for us. So we have a number of projects like our asset management project. The fire department, instead of doing a whole new master plan, we've moved to doing a strategic work plan for the next 5 years. So we can do it internal in the house instead of spending money on a consultant. As well as we will be working with this person to do a lot of our policy upgrading. So it'll be a lot of varied learning for that individual, sucking them into municipal government. I attended the CAOs forum last week in Victoria. This is an opportunity where the CAOs kind of get together and we talk about common issues. And I can report that no money for infrastructure and higher levels of taxation are a universal theme. And then if you live in Burnaby, they have anywhere from 100 to 200 jobs any given day where they are vacant. So for their municipal government. So today we have no vacancies. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So we have some reports there. We have the January 2025 Fire Department report. We have the January 2025 CPO update and the council resolution list. Any questions on that? Excellent. Closed session, that this meeting be closed to the public pursuant to section 91A. Personal information about an identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position as an officer, employee, or agent of the municipality or another position appointed by the municipality, and C, labor relations or other employee relations, and section 92B, the consideration of the information received and held in confidence relating to the negotiations between the municipality and the provincial government or the federal government or both, or between provincial government or the federal government or both, and a third party of the community charter. I need a second. Second, Councillor Etchart, Councillor Baxter. All those in favor? Going into close. Thank you. Close. We'll take a 5-minute break and then we'll be right back. Okay. Sure. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, you got 2 weeks then.
Yeah.
Spring break is the 17th.